of the Scottish Ultra. Once again, we're in the company of Chris Sutton and Ali McCoist. Ali, before we kick on here, is Viv off the Wi-Fi? Is it stable?
He's off the Wi-Fi. Kids are at school. We're on in. I've got my tea. Good. Let's go.
The famous mug is back, and I also, as you know, I live your life through your social media.
I know where I'd like to shove that mug.
The problem is it would fit.
Yeah. I notice, Ali, you've been out on your walkies again. This time, though, quite a walk up Ben Lomond, and then top with a wee glass of wine. I just want to check, because I know you're quite big on self-promotion. Wasn't the Ali McCoist label, was it, you were promoting?
No, we've run out of that actually. Such is the popularity of that particular wine. We've run out of that, but it will be available very, very soon, gentlemen.
Good stuff. We're going to talk about the football in just a moment, but first of all, I'll look back at what's happened the last few days with journalist Stephen McGowan.
This week, Hungary's Green Eagles descended on Glasgow and chose Celtic as their prey. For Scotland's champions, bad things really do happen in threes, usually in August in the Champions League. First it was AEK Athens, then Romanian champions Cluj. Now Ferencváros are the latest club of a modest budget to show Celtic that money can't buy class. Odsonne Edouard had a sore thigh and Neil Lennon went out on a limb by leaving two big money strikers on the bench. While the Hoops clamour to get fans into Parkhead, players are clamouring to get out. David Turnbull is the exception, sealing his £3 million move from Motherwell. In the Europa League, the snowmen barely missed him. Glenn Torrance saw red and declared it an amber past the test of flying colours. Aberdeen joined him in Monday's second qualifying round draw with a 6-goal thrashing of Minnows NSI Runevik. Celtic fans are sometimes quick to accuse domestic rivals of letting down the coefficient. Maybe not this week.
Okay, well, clearly it's been a mixed week in terms of results for our teams playing in Europe. Chris, we'll have to start on Celtic. That was not a good night at all. Did you see this coming in any way, shape or form?
I think a lot of Celtic fans would say that they saw this coming. It's like Groundhog Day. We say it year in and year out. Understand why that is the case, and then you can go back further and you can look at a lack of discipline at the club in terms of look what's happened to Lee Griffiths. Look at the situation with Bolingoli, and I think that Neil Lennon and Celtic really need to get a grip on this now. The season is still retrievable, of course it is, but you get away from the fact financially it's bad for Celtic, and it may well have a big knock-on effect, i.e. selling a key player.
Well, that's the next question, Ali, isn't it? Because you heard what Neil Lennon had to say after the game about certain players not wanting to be at the club. Well, look, a lot of people are assuming it's players like Chris Ayer, Olivier Ntcham as well, but he started those players in the match.
Listen, he more or less called it 100% correctly. If the players don't want to be at the club, then they have to leave. It's as simple as that. You can't have people around your group that are having a bad influence on others. It was a really, I think it's pretty straightforward. He sits down.
Why does he not name the players, Dally?
Because as soon as he mentions them, there's no way back for them, I don't think. And I think that's why he hasn't mentioned them. I think he obviously knows who they are, and he'll have sat down with them probably yesterday or today and said, look, you need to tell me what you want to do. And if they say, I want to leave the club, then I think he has to mention them.
But Ali, just one thing you said there. You said if players don't want to be at the club, you have to get rid of them. But what if one of those players is somebody like an Odsonne Edouard? Now, I'm not saying that that's the case, but he's invaluable to the club in such a big season. Look what happened the other night when he didn't play. Even if he doesn't want to be there, you can still get the best out of the most out of him for another key season, could you not?
Not if he doesn't want to be there. I don't think, Darryl. I think unless he changes his mind and pledges himself for one more season, I don't think the manager, the coach, has any other option than to get rid of that individual player. And I hope for Celtic's case, it's not Edouard, because it was unbelievably evident to everybody watching that game, and I watched the entire game the other night, how reliant they have become on effectively one man, because I mean, they created one or two chances, certainly balls coming across the box that I felt an out-and-out centre forward like Edouard, or indeed Griffiths, who shouldn't be forgotten in this whole, saga, if you like, who has let the manager and let his teammates down. No matter if player X comes out publicly and says to Neil Lennon, I don't want to be here, well, the manager's well within his right. He must get rid of him, because you can't have a bad apple in the dressing room.
Yeah, but this is the problem. The fact that he didn't name names, because we are speculating, and I think, in fairness to Odsonne Edouard, his one of his representatives I read came out and said that it's not crucial for him to be playing in the Champions League. I'd question why Yeti, the Premier League down south, finished quite late. Why he's not up to speed yet? I don't understand it. Klimala, I don't see him train every day, but from what I've seen in the games when he's come on this season, he's looked a bit of a threat. At least he's an out-and-out centre forward.
You're 100% right. The fact of the matter is, Sifa Klimala or indeed Ayeti, that is the kind of game that you're busting to play in. Now, I don't care if I'm not up to speed, right? I still want to play in that game because I believe I can score and get myself off and running. Another goal to get off and running. I found it bizarre, really bizarre, that Celtic, particularly the way they've been renowned to play at home in Europe, did not start with a centre forward.
But the problem, the bigger picture and the biggest issue is failing to prepare, and responsibility, has to be taken right at the top and filtering all the way through. This has been coming for years. We had O'Connell and Beats on the centre-half partnership in Astana. Yanko playing against Beersheva. Celtic have been knocked out by Maribor. They should be doing better. It's a bad situation Celtic have found themselves in, and they need to really respond and respond quickly.
Motherwell on Sunday for them, Ali, and they have made a signing. David Turnbull could now play against his old club. Do you like the business Celtic have done there?
But Chris is right. Eventually, I do like the business. Eventually, I like the business. Good signing, Turnbull. It'll give them something different. It will certainly strengthen them in terms of goals, and particularly in that middle area. And it will also, I think, as Chris was alluding to, I think it'll allow Neil to show the exit door to one or two that want away and should be getting away. But in terms of the business, I think it's an excellent piece of business, because I do rate Turnbull highly, yes.
Do you think he'll play and feature right away, Chris?
Why not? Why wouldn't you? I mean, absolutely.
Your name's not Chris.
Yeah, I know. I just felt I would give a better qualified answer. I took no, but why not? I'll let Chris have the answer, but I don't see any why you wouldn't throw.
I don't want to answer now.
Right, I'll tell you what, let's talk Motherwell now, because they had a good result in Europe against Glentoran. Stephen Craigan was there to see what we named the Stephen Craigan Derby.
They say you always remember your first love. And in football terms, my first love is Glentoran. As a young boy growing up in Northern Ireland, my late dad used to take me to the Oval in East Belfast to watch my heroes. Guys like Gary McCartney, Billy Caskey, Alan Patterson. But tonight, my club take on my other love in a Europa League qualifier.
I've worked with 90% of the players, and they're talented boys. For whatever reason, they're back in Belfast again, whether it's loss of form, whether it's injuries, bad decisions, but certainly no lack of talent. And you'll have a group of boys really determined to prove that they should be across the water, and we have to match that determination. And if we match that, then we can win, but we're well aware there'll be no surprises for us.
I spent 18 and a half years here at Motherwell as a player, as a captain, as a youth coach, and I also had a spell as caretaker manager. So I know how important tonight is for these guys. Are Motherwell favourites? Yes, but having looked at their form so far this season, a home win is not a guarantee.
When we looked at the fixtures at the start of the season, we saw a good opportunity to get points on the board. It's not really happened. Only one game where we've actually scored goals. So there's a few concerns.
I think they're looking at our position and our results and thinking they're going to have a real go here tonight with us. But again, we're a physical side. I think we'll be able to match them, and I'm hoping we get a few goals in there as well. And this will be the comfortable win that kicks us on for the rest of the season.
After a tight opening 45 minutes, the match turned in favour of Motherwell early in the second half when Shannon Clucas saw red for a late tackle on Stephen O'Donnell. Motherwell eventually broke the deadlock just before the hour mark when Callum Lang played a brilliant 1-2 with Stephen O'Donnell, who delicately lifted the ball over the advancing Neil Coley. Motherwell's second goal was a little bit special as Stephen O'Donnell rocketed the ball home from 30 yards to open his Motherwell account. Get in! The floodgates had opened and 2 minutes later it was Liam Polworth's turn to get on the score sheet as he headed home from close range after Chris Long's powerful shot. Substitute Tony Watt won't score an easier goal this season after he benefited from the ball rebounding off the unlucky Keith Cowan and tapped home for Motherwell's fourth. The goal fest then continued as man of the match Christopher Long eventually got his just rewards, nodding home from Tony Watt's cross to make it 5 for the Steelmen. Glentoran were awarded a penalty right at the death when Harry Robinson fouled Kieran O'Connor in the 18-yard box. Robbie McDaid converted from the spot for a Glentoran consolation to make it 5-1. So it's Motherwell who progressed to the next qualification round of the Europa League after a stylish second-half performance here at Fir Park.
We haven't got a win on the board in 5 games. Of course, there's a relief. There's a belief as well in the people that are here and the squad of players that are here that I haven't lost. I think there's a lot of people hoping they're looking for us to field tonight. We were the banana skin, if you like, but we proved people wrong, and I think proved the quality of the squad. Centre forwards all scoring tonight, so hopefully that gives us a lift going forward.
We haven't had the best of starts and the best of campaign, but we all lost the manager and obviously the staff who are working so hard. So today, to get that result with the amount of goals we scored was pleasing. And we owe the fans as well. We haven't been up to scratch at the moment in the league, but obviously a win's a win and we build on it now.
Final question on David Turnbull. He has left the club, but I think he's made an impact.
David is, arguably one of the best players I've worked with. It was clear from we walked into the club, when you work with him, we all work with him, it was when you put him in at the right stage. I think we got that right, when he couldn't defend at the start. All of a sudden, he became a man training with the first team, and there was never any doubt how far he was going to go. I think Celtic have got a fantastic footballer, and he can go and achieve whatever he wants.
Really good result for Motherwell, Chris, wasn't it? In the end, it wasn't easy throughout the contest. I think it helped when Glentoran went down to 10 men. But also the strikers scoring, something they've not had domestically. They need to get going domestically. Clearly, it's going to be hard at Celtic Park.
Absolutely, Darryl. I said earlier, maybe last week when we were talking about it, I expected and hoped for better performances in Europe from the Scottish teams out with the Old Firm, because I think it's long overdue, if you like. Motherwell, I think I've had a very indifferent start to the season, and not one that I would have expected. I expected them to certainly have more points on the board and perform better. Clearly, this weekend is going to be an extremely difficult game for them. I definitely expect to see improvement in the Motherwell side in the upcoming weeks, and it was excellent to see a good result in Europe.
Yeah, last weekend not good at all against Hamilton in the derby as well. Let's move on to Aberdeen. Good result for them as well. And Chris, goals for them too. Blew away Runovic.
Good for Derek McInnes, good for Aberdeen, because they've had a tough start to the season because of the COVID issue.
Because they beat Livingston, St Johnstone away as well, and Hedges hat-trick. They used the whole squad last night, and as Chris mentioned, great goal by Hayes.
Yeah, Chris and I have spoke. The Hayes situation I found a little bit bizarre. I thought, and probably still do think, Hayes might be the best left back Celtic would have had this season. And I look at the St Johnstone game was a poor game, but they get the winning goal from Hedges, who again was on the score sheet last night. I think the signs after an extremely eventful start for Aberdeen, shall we say, for want of a better description, I think the signs for Derek are pretty good. The one thing they have, I said to you guys last week, they've got a big side. You look at them all. Taylor, McKenna.
Size isn't everything.
That's very, very true, particularly in your own department. But having said that, I definitely think Aberdeen will be a far better force this year than they have been in recent seasons. There you are.
Right, while he's laughing, I'll get in quickly here, Ali. More on the Dons later. We're going to take a quick break, and up next we will look ahead. to the full Premiership weekend. Welcome back. Lots still to come in part 2 of Scottish Football Extra. Ali McCoist and Chris Sutton are still here. We'll come to the guys in a moment. But first, let's look ahead to the Premiership weekend with Michael Stewart and Rory Hamilton.
Okay, Michael here at Pittodrie, Granite City, and what a resurgence it's been for Aberdeen and Derek McInnes. They really needed those 2 victories recently.
Oh, they definitely did. You know, with the layoff that the clubs had not been able to play games, I think it was important for Derek McInnes and his team to get back to winning ways. Not been the best of performances, but I think at this moment, well, they've got so many players out, it's just results to build confidence. And just, I think the important thing for Aberdeen is in the next 3 phase of games is to try to find the style of what is this team about. I think they've got the talent, they've got the individuals, they need to just bring it together now. But winning games certainly buys them time to do that.
What a big fixture at Easter Road as well.
Huge game. You know, historically in the last few years, Hibs versus Aberdeen have been big games. The home side have predominantly been the ones that come out on top. So it'll be very interesting because obviously we know that Hibs are flying the start of this season so far, so really looking forward to that.
Okay, Motherwell head to Celtic Park without David Turnbull against David Turnbull.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting, that one. Not a great start for Motherwell, and obviously to lose their main asset, or to let's not say lose, but having sold them on. I think a lot of credit to Motherwell for producing a young lad like David Turnbull. Important signing for Celtic as well. Going to be very intrigued to see how that one plays out and whether David Turnbull ends up on the park in some capacity.
Okay, quick prediction: Kilmarnock Dundee United.
Dundee United doing well. I see that one being a 1-1 draw.
How about Livingston Ross County?
Ross County flying. Livingston struggling. Ross County 1-0.
Battle of the Saints at McDermott Park.
Yeah, indeed. Again, St Johnstone having lost 2 games recently with late goals against them. St Mirren flying high at the top end of the table. I think St Mirren might be able to sneak that one as well. 2-1.
And finally, Hamilton, after getting that huge Lanarkshire Derby victory. Next up, visit of Rangers.
It's a tough one, really tough. Hamilton needed that victory, there's no doubt about that, because they'd been struggling so far. But typical Hamilton, they pull a result when you least expect it. I think this one will be too much for them. I think Rangers will comfortably win that.
Ali, let's start on Rangers then. Off to Hamilton, Saturday tea time. Aren't they? Last weekend, no Morelos in the squad. Do you expect him to feature this time round?
I think he might feature if he's not away. Clearly, I went to the game. I went to the game last week. The jury's obviously still out. I would have thought in the 2 centre forwards that Rufin Itten that have come to the club. But we were talking about influences in dressing rooms regarding Celtic, and I think it's the exact same with Rangers guys. If Morelos has got the toys out the pram and his head isn't in the right place, then it's quite simple. Stephen cannot play him. I thought Rangers were certainly the better side against Kilmarnock last week, and won comfortably enough without being brilliant. But I still think Morelos is, without doubt, got more goals in him at this moment in time than the other 2. So if his head is in the correct place, then I would expect him to feature as long as he's not been sold.
Ali, you've already said on Celtic, if players want to leave, sell them, don't play them. But Morelos does want to go. That's pretty clear. So why play him?
Because I think at this moment in time, you don't want, particularly the importance of the season, you can't be seen to cut your nose off to spite your face, if you like, because if there is goals in him and he has the best option, right, then you have to play him, I think. Because
you can't have different rules. You can't have different rules for Celtic and different rules for Rangers.
I'm not. There's not different rules here, Chris. If you just let me continue with my answer. Yeah, my answer is this. Then if he wants away, you have to sell him, right? But while he's still at the club and he's not been sold, if he is your best option for a goal, then you have to take the best option for a goal. It's as simple as that. But at the same time, you still have to look to get a deal to get money in to get him away.
It does look like, Ali, that Ryan Kent does want to stay though, which is good news, because we only spoke last week about the Leeds bid that had come in and was confirmed by Steven Gerrard.
He has clearly become the most valuable player in Steven Gerrard's. Even the game against Livingston, where they were poor, there was a lack of creation about Rangers. He was still their best option. He wasn't great at all, but he was still their best option. The game at Kilmarnock, which I saw at Ibrox, by a mile, the most talented player on the park, and the one that would provide, out of the 22 players in the park, the one that looked as though he had a spark and could provide a little bit of magic or something different. So he has become, that is good news, because I tell you right now, you're talking about Celtic not wanting to sell Edouard. Never mind Morelos. Rangers do not want to lose Ryan Kent.
Alright, lots to get through still, guys. I want to ask you first of all about Hibs. We've got a good looking game this week against Aberdeen to come, Chris, but big news for all their fans that Martin Boyle, who's been outstanding for them, has signed a contract extension.
Yeah, great piece of business. I think he's their key player, isn't he? To tie him down for longer makes total sense, and really good news. They've been off to a flyer this season. Weren't at the best against St Johnstone. Maybe a bit, well, even lucky to get the win. St Johnstone had a perfectly good goal ruled out. That should have stood, but. No, I think that Jack Ross will be delighted with the start from Hibs and tying Martin Boyle down.
We've already mentioned Aberdeen in the show, Chris, and they have had a couple of good domestic results before that big win in Europe. But now, a number of their players being punished again by the SFA. Is this a box-ticking exercise to keep the government happy, or do you think the SFA have done the right thing?
I think it is a box-ticking exercise. I wouldn't mind if the rules were set from the start, and then if the players broke the rules, then they knew what the punishment was. But I think it's extremely harsh to give them a longer ban now. They've been publicly called out, humiliated. They have been flogged. Derek McInnes is absolutely spot on. You can't make the rules up after the event, which is what the SFA have done. But it's no surprise to see them pandering to the government. They've done that all along in this crisis.
The players have a responsibility as well, Chris, given the situation in society.
Yeah, of course they do. Absolutely. You're spot on. The players were wrong. I don't think Chris and I are arguing that, Darryl. The players are totally wrong.
No, but that's the second time Darryl's asked a question to me, and you've just taken over. You just carry on. Shall I go? Shall I just go?
No.
Ali, we might be better without him.
Yeah, mate.
Believe it or not, we might be better without him, but it wouldn't be the same without him. That's for sure.
And go on then, Ali. Come on, game of the week, because you picked Dundee United Celtic last week. I don't know if in reflection you think that was the right choice, but well, what is your game of the week this time round?
One goal in 2 weeks.
Was a good game though.
Your game to the
United Celtic. Goals aren't everything, Chris. You know that. You certainly know that more than MD. I'm going for Hibs Aberdeen. There you are, Easter Road. I'm going through to the capital for my game of the week.
All right, good stuff. Listen, my battery is almost out of my computer because I waited so long for you today, Ali. So I'm going to finish on the quiz. You might have seen this week. It's been 20 years since the demolition derby. I hate to remind you of it, Ali. 6-2 to Celtic. Chris, you remember very well that Old Firm game. Your first taste of the Old Firm, wasn't it? You scored in the game as well. Same for Martin O'Neill, first time he was in charge of that game. So my question is for you this week, guys. Can you name anyone who featured for Rangers on that day 20 years ago? It's 3-1 to Ali McCoist. Chris, last week we talked Celtic strikers. Should have suited
another question favouring Ali.
I'll come to you first. Well, you played in the game, Chris.
You played in the game?
First, Chris.
So I'll go first. Stefan Klos.
Correct.
Amaruso.
Correct.
Bert Konterman.
Correct.
He was nutmegged, wasn't he?
I've never heard an answer in my life said with a lack of conviction like that. That was embarrassing.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Fernando.
Correct.
Barry Ferguson. here, Daryl?
Oh, it starts getting tricky now. It starts getting
How long is
tricky
he
now.
taking?
Neil McCann.
Come on, Daryl.
Just within the time frame, I'll give him it.
Dodds. Billy Dodds.
Correct.
Right. Come on, Daryl. That's it. Come on, Daryl. No, come on.
Arthur Newman. Arthur Newman.
That, Ali, is an incorrect answer. 3-2.
You don't even know. You don't even know your own club. It's embarrassing.
To be fair, Satch, I've totally erased that particular game result from my memory bank.
Listen, that was more impressive this week. Do you want me to run through the 14 players that appeared for Rangers? Kloss, Ritchie, Huntsman, Amoruso, Vidmar, Reina, Ferguson, Van Bronckhorst, McCann, Dodds and Wallace off the bench that day. Two guy, Kanchelskis and Lovenkrands. But most importantly,
Kanchelskis, Daryl, not Kanchelskis. Kanchelskis.
Kanchelskis.
Yes.
That's great, Chris. That's great. Thanks very much for that. As time is running